Today I'm talking with Joeli Fitch, also known as Knit Fitch. Joeli is a great friend and mentor of mine, and it was absolutely lovely to chat with her about our businesses. I hope you enjoy this episode.
Let's get started. Why don't you people who you are and what you do and how you got started?
Okay, well, I'm Joeli Fitch. I guess I'm the face behind Knit Fitch and Fiber Boss. I kind of started as Knit Fitch, and now I've evolved my business with a brand called Fiber Boss, which includes the Fiber Boss Collective on Facebook. And pretty much I started in the fact that my big story is that as a little girl, there was this yarn shop that I was in love with, right? And so I was just drawn to color. I kept telling my grandmother, I want to buy color. Mm-hmm. And so, it was in the back of my mind. And then I actually used to live in Tokyo. So I was all alone for a long time. I'm jumping all over the place.
No, it's fine.
But previously, before I moved to Japan, I had a wedding photography business, like full-fledged wedding photography business, put myself through college. Then I worked for magazines and newspapers, and I even worked for Walt Disney, or the Disney company, as a photographer. And then I kind of gave up my dream job to follow my husband to Japan. I was going to be a magazine editor in Seattle. But so I did that, went to Japan, and got really kind of depressed and lonely. I mean, you moved from another country to another country. You probably get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that kind of, even now, because I'm now in Australia, like I've got it, and it's a very interesting experience that I feel only expats would understand, or people who have immigrated. But so I got really sad and depressed because I was all alone. I didn't speak Japanese at all, so on top of being in another country, I didn't speak the language, and so I just, again, like I said, really sad, depressed, lonely, which wasn't me, wasn't my personality. And then my son was born, happy day, right? I like to say that all Fiber Boss and everything started with the death of a dream. So that was my dream job, and the start of a life, which is my son being born. And I realized in order to not be sad and depressed, I needed to keep myself busy and not be so lonely. And so I found knitting, which was all in of itself an obsession, as we all like when we discover it, when we like really get into it. Huge obsession. And the day I learned how to knit, I joined Ravelry and was like, I need to be part of this community. I love it. How am I going to get my foot in there? I tried designing. Wasn't my jam. I get so frustrated. I am in awe with designers because I just can't do it. And then I was like, let me try my dabble at hand dyeing, and no, that didn't work either. And I wanted to make teal, and it ended up being this like a red and like a teal pretty colored yarn, and it ended up being like total red, white, and blue patriotic. And I was like, okay, I don't have good patience for this. So again, I'm in awe of hand dyers. I'm not I do have an editing minor, and I remember doing classes, and it just really wasn't my cup of tea. I'm more the content creation than the editing, even though I get it. And so I kind of just couldn't find my place. I wanted to be part of this industry. I wanted to be part of the community. I wanted to have an impact. And so I was sitting at my first ever knit night, because I didn't have anyone in Japan to knit with. So I was back home in Portland, sitting at my first ever knit night, and I was hearing all these women who are my friends talk like, oh, I wish more people were like us, that we were willing to help each other out, but a lot of people just don't want to share, they're afraid they're going to give away their secrets, very kind of closed off. It's competition over collaboration. And I just had this light bulb, because that exact same thing happened in the photography industry when I first started, because that's when digital was starting to really take off. I feel like that dates me a little bit. That's when digital became big, you guys. But so I made that correlation between the two industries, and I was like, I have this experience. I have the business experience. I have the marketing experience. I have the photography experience. why don't I help these people connect? It was really like a connection. And as you totally are seeing that too. Like, we just need a connection. And so Fiber Boss was born just kind of out of a whim. And it's kind of blown up. And the whole point behind it is really love and support and helping each other, and kind of being the slogan of Fiber Boss is, are you a fiber dreamer or fiber boss? And really, it's as you know, Joeli, as we like decide that we want to do this as a business and it's not just a hobby, there's that like tipping point, like, am I going to really put myself in this or not? And that's what Fiber Boss is all about. It's for those women and those men that really just want to tip over into the let's do this. So. Yeah. That's a little bit about me.
So 2 things I want to pick up on. I love that you said you noticed this started in childhood, like this love of color and seeing the yarn store. That's a theme that keeps coming up throughout these interviews. And something I've been asking people is, do you see who you were as a child being reflected in this business? Because, well, it's something I'm curious about both as like a mom and just like as a researcher scientist is I do think that what we are passionate about as a kid kind of stays with us. But I think the sad thing is a lot of people like shut it off and think they have to go. I have to get a job. I have to work. I have to earn money. And they kind of lose that passion. And like what I'm really passionate about is helping people realize, no, that passion can become a business. Like you don't have to just have a job that's a job. Like you can have a job you love. So
yeah,
I love
in that in-between stage, of the loving color, which that's kind of what drove me to photography for me. And then I was always that kid is like, I want to run a business. I want to be a CEO. Like I was that weird kid, like in school, everyone's like, I want to be a ballerina. I'm like, I want to run a business. And everyone's like, what business are you going to run? I'm like, I don't know, but that's what I want to do, So I've always been attracted to business, photography, and color.
Yeah.
So.
That's so funny. I don't think I was attracted to business, like, consciously, but I was that kid who always had something going on. Like, I made flyers when I was 12 and canvassed my whole neighborhood getting babysitting jobs. Like, I had a whole flyer.
Babysitters Club, right?
Yeah, totally. I was a huge fan. And I was like, yes, like, I was always doing something, always working, like, really just like always doing my own thing as well, like didn't get wrapped up in the whole of high school, like whatever drama that was going on. Like I was knitting from the time I was 6. I never stopped. So that's so interesting. I love it. So the other thing I did want to mention is your group is the Fiber Boss Collective.
Yes,
right?
That's the Facebook group, and the brand is kind of, it started as the Fiber Boss Collective. And then I realized it was becoming bigger than what I even imagined it would be. And people were attracted, engaging, and connecting. So now that the group itself has evolved into Fiber Boss as a brand itself.
So definitely check out that Facebook group, though, because I love it. Like, it's one of my favorites. It's one I tell people to join all the time because I do think it is so chatty, but you do a really good job of making sure that it's never just going into like blatant self-promotion, which is, there's nothing wrong with self-promoting when it's appropriate, but I've been part of so many Facebook groups that it just turns into like everything is like clearly a pitch for something, like from every member of the group, even if it's like phrased as like a blog post or something. It's like always ends up being a pitch, and I'm just like,
you can tell. And that's one of the major rules of our group is just simply, we're there to help and support each other. We're not here to sell to each other because we're not each other's ideal. I mean, we may be each other's ideal clients, but that's not the place for it. So,
and it does work, and it works so well, and it still remains like friendly. Like no one, it doesn't feel like, oh my god, I can't post this. Like you feel totally open to posting anything. But it just creates a really good community over there. So I definitely recommend checking it out. It's one of my favorite resources, and something that inspired me to start my own group because, well, I like being the boss. So I was like, I love being part of other people's Facebook groups. So I was like, no, it's time to have one where like I control everything.
You are a Fiber Boss. Yeah. And an easy way for people to find that is just fiberboss.com.
Oh,
super
awesome.
Easy. Yeah.
Awesome. So background for everyone watching, Chelsea and I kind of know each other a little bit. She's a little bit of a mentor, and I've been part of like all of her programs. And so we both kind of started our journey. Well, you started your journey obviously before me, but I mean, we started our journey together at the beginning of 2016. So I've had a little bit of preview, and I know you've had a big year this past year. So let's talk about things that went really well and what you learned from those lessons or those successes.
Okay. Things that went really well. So I think Fiber Boss is now officially over a year old. Yeah. So I guess since it is just a little over a year, I still say starting that was a very big success for me because it was something that I didn't wait on. Mm-hmm. You know, that quote everyone says, like, you wish, like a year from now, you wish you had started today. And so that was kind of that inspiration. Like, I just got to put it out there. So for me, that was like the biggest thing. And then I think also then the next big thing was finding a mentor, a coach that really I trusted and I could follow, and I didn't see a lot of scam from, you know all those online business coaches, right? Like we all see them, we're all part of their tribes, but some of them you just can tell aren't so. And I felt like I found one that was right for me. Yeah. And so I feel like number 2 was just finding that, because it brought me the clarity I needed, and it showed me that investing in myself only makes me a better coach to my students or to those who I mentor. Just helping, because the more we invest, it always trickles down. You know, it's that we stand on the shoulders of giants type of a thing. And then the third thing was actually releasing then Fiber Boss College, which we've done 1 semester of, and it was big. I mean, Joeli joined, so she can maybe talk a little bit about that, but and how she thought. But it went really well. It was my first real official launch in the online realm. I mean, I've always launched, I guess, and sold things, but and it feels weird to me. Like I don't like the sale thing because it was really more about serving the people of the Fiber Boss Collective and giving them something that they needed. And so I think that was the biggest one, and it went really well, and we ended the class in December, and I learned a lot as a teacher, and they learned a lot as students, and it's just a constant evolving. And I think understanding that everything is a test as a business owner, especially in our industry, I feel like sometimes our industry has a ton of creatives, and I'm a creative as well. I mean, most of us are creatives. I love you because you have like this whole science brain, but I do know that you're a creative. Yeah. And so a lot of times we get stuck in that creative mind of this is what I'm inspired by, and we don't think about what our audience is. So I think understanding that testing was really good for me this year. So I guess those are the 3, like starting the whole thing, finding a mentor and actually serving to my ideal clients what they were wanting.
Yeah, I love what you talk about when you say like finding a mentor, because I think it's really important to find like one voice that you like and relate to, because I think it's really easy to get distracted by all of them and be like, oh, I'll take this class with this person and this class with this person and this class. And then there's almost too many voices and
too much overlap.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot easier to find like one person, because I think there's a fear of missing out. Like, oh, but if I don't listen to what this person says, like they might have that nugget that I need. And the truth is, no, like there's not one specific thing that's going to like magically fix your business or make you $1 million, but it's about like consistency and showing up. And I think
the little steps that you learn that build on top of each other. Yeah.
Yes. So I do think having that one person that you can just follow and get advice from and helps you stick to your path as well. Yes. So I do think that's really important. And I love what you're saying that the Facebook group started almost a year ago, just over a year ago. And I've been able to see that growth throughout the year, because one of my personal realizations was I don't stick with things for more than 3 months. Like I've been doing quarterly goal setting and it's worked really well. And so like one quarter I focused on Instagram and I like tripled my following. And then I went, oh, that's great. And I'm like, I'm going to work on YouTube now.
To the next step. Yeah.
And I didn't actually stick with anything for a year. But for some reason, 2016 for me showed me how fast a year went. And I don't know what it was about this year, because at times it felt so long. But like maybe I've been more aware, my eyes have been open, but I've noticed things that have started a year ago and how far they've come. And I thought, I want to do that. Like, I know how short a year is. It's going to be nothing, a blink of an eye. It's going to be 2018. And I want something that I can say, well, a year ago I started this and look what I've done. And I think sticking through the hard times, sticking through the boring times, sticking through the growing pains of something is all really important, and something I was like, I've just not done that. Like, I've just gone for that big spike that you get at the beginning where it's fun and exciting, and then I've just gone, all right, something else now. So.
Right. I do the same thing. And I think especially in this online instant gratification world, and we're seeing so many business people inside our industry and outside of our industry that grow so fast. And we always think, you know, oh, like so many a year, like seeing what we're doing looks like it happened overnight. And what we don't realize when we see people that we admire, mentors, anything, we don't see the buildup coming up to that. It really, for anyone, the overnight success is a buildup of many years, and we just don't see that. So understanding that and just being consistent and is such a good lesson to learn. Yeah. I totally agree. It's hard though.
I know that things don't always go as smoothly as they appear. So what, you don't have to like name specific things, but what were some like lessons that 2016 was like, you're gonna learn this?
I'm gonna learn this. I would narrow again. I have 3. So number 1 would be trusting in myself, because again, like I'd always have these second guess things, and then I would second guess it, and then somebody else would come out with the idea, and I'm like, darn it, why didn't I just do it? You know, why did I second guess myself? So that was one lesson, like sadly missed opportunity for me actually several times, that I was like, man, I know what I'm talking. And then it was, but in a way, like I always like to turn my failures into like lessons. And so for me, it also taught me like not to second guess myself. And if I is a missed opportunity, then, you know, move on. It's okay. And something else will pop up. So that was, I think, number 1 of those lovely lessons 2016 taught me. Number 2 was that I can't do it alone. I realized like this whole solopreneur dream that a lot of people have is it's not for me, for sure. And I think when you really, like you said, you find your purpose, you start thinking bigger, and then, so I think, when was it? So I did like a really intense program, a 90-day program with Jennifer Kim, my mentor, but it was like a really intense 90 days. And oh my goodness, I probably cried every day and quit every single day of those 90 days, you know. But what it taught me was that I can't do it alone. I have to, well, let me take that back. I can do it alone, but I shouldn't do it alone, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I can make landing pages. I know all the like the little things, the back end things, but it's more worth my time as a business owner to do the things that I love to do as opposed to things I can do. So this 2017, Fibervoss is going to get a little bit more help on that end, because I'm finally not resisting that and wanting to accept help. And then the third one, the biggest, I think, helped me as a business owner and as a human being in general, was realizing that business brings out so much of your personal ish that you're like, I'm such a mess of a person. And I remember my friend Brandon at one conference I went to said, most business problems aren't business problems, they're personal problems, you know? So whatever's happening in our personal life and our personal development shows up in our is like magnified in our business, right? And so I learned a lot about who I am and who I want to be, and how to handle that anxiety. Like I get major anxiety, and I'm just like, oh, and I get paralysis analysis. Like I get overwhelmed, and it's like, okay, I'm not doing anything. I'm going to avoid it. I'm going to do everything I can. And then you're like, wait, I promised these people I need to do it. Like this, I feel like I don't feel bad admitting this stuff, because we all go through it, and I think it's good to see it. So the lesson in that I learned was, I personally invest in my business, like I said, in my business development and getting a coach as well. But then this year was the first year I invested in personal development, and I'm coupling those, and it's so helpful, so helpful. So I would say that's one of my biggest advice from this last year, is to like be willing to not only invest in yourself and your business, but in yourself and your personal development as well, because it'll just help everything be more calm.
Have you read the book, The Big Leap?
I have not read that yet, and you're the second person today to tell me about that. I was on my mastermind call with my sis, like it's a female, all female CEO mastermind, and I was on a call with them this like 6 a.m. this morning, and they were talking about that book, and I was like, I must read that. You're the second one, so you know it must. So I need to read it.
It's okay. Like I definitely think it's worth reading. It's a little bit more like here's a bunch of theory, and I feel like it wasn't super actionable, but at the same time, there's something to be said for like self-awareness. And he talks about, well, one of the things he talks about is these zones that we have, like the zone of incompetence, the zone of competence, the zone of like expertise, and then our zone of genius. And spending time on things which other people could do better or other people could do just as well as you is not a productive use of your time. And all of those things should be outsourced, and you should focus as much as you can in the things that you do better than anyone. And then the zone of genius is like things which only you can do.
Exactly.
And then he also talks about self-limiting beliefs that we have and how they show up in business. And one of the things that I'm trying to focus on is he says worry and anxiety is a self-limiting belief. It's a way of keeping ourselves from being truly happy, from truly enjoying our successes. And I started to think, is all of my anxiety like a way of keeping myself from being happy? And so I don't know how much I'm fully like committed to that idea, but definitely something I'm going to observe over the next few months and see like, okay, is this anxiety as in like a medical condition like I need a therapist for, or is this an anxiety? It's just a way of me, you know, making sure
coping.
Yeah.
And I think that was actually, now that you bring that up, that was another challenge I really had. It was brought to me fully attention in New York, and it must have been a repressed memory because now I'm remembering it. But not celebrating your wins, not celebrating those things, and that must be that. It makes sense.
Yeah.
And I know Seth Godin calls it like the lizard brain, like it's like everything it's going to do to keep you from doing things. So
like he gives like 5 or 6, 7 ways that like we stop ourselves from having the success, happiness, and love that we want. And so we also do this in relationships, or we could be celebrating a business win, and so then we sabotage our relationship by picking a fight because we can't have all of these things going well at once. That would just be too much.
That'd just be too much. Would be too perfect, right?
And the other thing I love is, I don't know if you do this as well, but I see like universal themes and having support. Like, so I watch a bunch of like 2017 goal setting videos. Like I just love them. I search for them on YouTube, 2017 resolutions. And a lot of very successful, like 7-figure businesses, the people said one of their resolutions is to find more friends. And that has actually been one of mine that I wrote down. I would like to have more friends. And then I kept seeing it in other people's videos. And I'm like, we are all feeling alone. And whether we need people or not, like I have trouble with the word need. I'm like, I don't need anyone, right? But for our health, for our well-being, to be rounded people, I do think we need to have other people in our lives. Like
in our lives, in our business, in everything. That like, I know I need a team, and that's what brought Fiberbox kind of up to the thing. I knew I wanted to be in this business. I knew I wanted to be in this industry. I needed that connection with the industry, with the people in the industry. So totally get that.
So I think support is definitely a big one. Something that I'm definitely getting support in my business is something that I struggle with massively, like just trusting other people with different parts.
I know, it's that control freak thing, right? Like I have that too. I'm like, no, I know they can, but will they do it as well as me?
Then 2 things really helps me. One, I've been reading a lot about growth mindset and accepting the fact that people can change and get better. Like I think I probably have a very fixed mindset where if someone doesn't come in with all the skills doing everything perfectly, I just think, oh no, they're not right for this. when actually it should be like, how can I help them grow and get better and improve, which they can do. So having that belief. And then something Mariah Cause of Fempreneur talks about is hiring people who are better than you. Like, if you want to, like, she always talks about how she felt she had to, like, learn about Facebook advertising and learn about this thing and learn about this thing, and then hire people that she could teach them what she had learned. And she's like, actually, I just hire people who already know it. And I was just like,
Right.
oh, yeah, that makes sense. Like, hire someone who knows more than me.
Yes, that's showing that you're wanting to grow as a leader instead of an implementer. A really good book is called Rocket Fuel. I don't know who it's by, but it really talks about whether you're a leader or an implementer in your business. And if you're an implementer and you like doing all those little things, then you need to find a leader to help you run your business. If you're the leader, then you need to help find the implementers in your life.
Yeah.
And whether they're better than you or not, like, those are what you need to surround yourself with.
And I think
so that shows that you're wanting to be a leader, which I totally love. I love that.
Yeah. And well, the other thing I think Mariah actually talked about that was that she hired Megan Minns to almost be the leader, because she's like, I need someone to keep me organized. And there's no shame in that. I think we think, oh, like, I have to be everything. But if you actually need someone to, like, break down your tasks and delegate for you, then that's what you need and that's what you should hire.
That's why I have a CFO. I'm like, I cannot do the numbers. That is not me. You take care of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, that's one thing I'm working on as well. I'm actually trying out software for the first time, like, revolutionary idea. Don't try and put it all in a spreadsheet and, like,
don't just do it on a notebook with slides. Why
has it taken me 7 years to be like, oh, there's software that actually just, like, imports it from PayPal? Like, again, self-limiting belief.
For me, I'm like, woo, I can handle that. And then I give it to my CFO. I'm like, you figure that out.
Yeah, I think making things harder for ourselves than they have to be as a way of ensuring that I don't succeed as well as I should be, right? Like, yeah, so great lessons. Thank you so much for sharing those. I always love chatting with you.
Of course.
So, main place people can find you, fiberboss.com?
Yep, fiberboss.com gives you the direct link into the group. But if you want to find me directly and you just want to chat with me, at Knit Fitch on Instagram is pretty much the easiest way to find me. And that's KNITFITCH.
Yeah, so definitely worth checking out. You've been such a great
Thank
help
you.
in my life for the past year. And Fiber Boss College was absolutely amazing. So you guys should pay attention to that because it's been amazing.
Please.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. I'm really glad that was good.
Yeah. So I will let you get on with your night. I know it's late for you, but thank you so much for taking this time to chat with me.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Bye.